Hey guys, welcome back to another bookish video. Today, unfortunately, is not the happiest of videos, and it's not a wacky little thing that I whipped together. This is a rant video. So you guys know I go through a lot of books. I get through all the things and all the stories and all the feels and all the problems, so I tend to get through them rather quickly between audiobooks and physically reading and ebooks, and there's just so many outlets nowadays for me to get through books. However, I have found one that both trying to physically read it and trying to listen to the audiobook, I have not been able to get through it. I'm currently 60% through it, and unfortunately at 60%, I have officially decided to DNF The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I am so frustrated with this. I am so unbelievably frustrated. You guys can clearly see I was so excited for this book that when Owlcrate put out their special editions, I snatched it up and I was ready and I was so excited because the basis for this book, it had my attention. So being Throne of Glass trash and being all about fae and high fae and fairies, and I was totally there when I found out Cruel Prince was all about a girl who ends up having to go live with the fairy who murdered her parents. I was there, I was sold, I didn't want to know anything else. Not trying to do a video or anything. So when I started reading this book, I physically picked it up and I physically opened it and I read and I read and I got to about chapter 7-ish. And I hit that and I just didn't care. I was not invested in the story. For me personally, there were too many details. I wasn't all that exciting. I was so engaged when the first thing that I was expecting to happen happened, and her parents were murdered, and that's not a spoiler. Like, it's literally within the first 10 pages that it happens. So I was so there, and it just, for me, it just dragged from there. So I got to about chapter 7. I put the book down, put it back on my shelf. Several weeks went by and I decided to give it another chance. And by another chance, I downloaded the audiobook, figured, let's try another format. If reading it, I'm not that interested, let's try listening to it and see what we think there, see what happens, trying different things to get through the story. So I put in my headphones, I hit play, started listening, and that's how I got up to currently 60%, and I think I'm officially done. That makes me really frustrated because I know this book probably in the last 40% gets very good and therefore redeems itself, which then going into The Wicked King, I feel like it would be amazing. But at 60%, I am so underwhelmed and so frustrated that I just have no desire to keep reading this story. Now, up until this point, we've been spoiler free. However, I am going to start talking about some spoiler things. So if you've not read this book, I highly recommend jumping into another video and coming back to this once you've read 60%. So in this book, I honestly feel like Holly Black found every cheesy, corny, ridiculous fairy stereotype, ideology, mythology, whatever, anything that could have in the slightest linked back to fairies. I feel like she found it and smashed it all into a book and sprinkled a little high school on top. Now, I hate saying that. You guys know my channel. I do not diss authors. I do not crap on authors. And I feel so bad about it because I know so many people love this book and they think it's amazing. I understand in the fairy mythology, you have to have the different berries and potions and poisons and all these different things that go into making a fairy story. I still am incredibly frustrated because this book has so much potential, and I understand the whole high school aspect that's sprinkled on top to where they go to lessons and they're getting picked on because they're humans and not fae, and I totally get that, and I'm totally there for that as well because Throne of Glass, the same exact thing happens. People are mean to humans and fae and blah 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 blah. That's not my problem. Just like not my problem is the fact that Cardin's not as bad as he seems to be, and there's some deeper, darker thing going on. That I don't have a problem with, and I don't have a problem with her getting wrapped up with Dane and being part of his spies and doing this training and wanting to be a knight. None of that I have a problem with. I was interested in all that. My problem is that we seem to constantly have a goal and we're moving towards something. She wants to become a knight. Maddox tells her no. She goes into this tournament anyway. great. Like, okay, fine. Moving on with the story. Okay, fine. Then she's picked up by Dane. She has the ability to not be influenced by other people. She ends up going to school where Valerian, I think, tries to make her do something. She ends up stabbing him. Those are all good arcs for me, and I really enjoyed those arcs. And her seeing Cardin being whipped instead of being the snarky asshole that he's always been. Those were all great. And then I feel like it all just comes to a stop. We have these moving parts and these moving pieces, and yet it all seems to suddenly break up because she has to go to lessons. She has to go to dinner. She has to go here. She's doing this. She's doing that. If all of those things that I thought were interesting would have actually flowed into each other, I probably would be done with this already. But because of the fact that you have awesome important scene, going to lessons, going to dinner, talking to Taryn, talking to V, doing all this other things. Okay, back to the really cool action part. Going to lessons, talking to Taryn, talking to V, like, there was no reason to have so many stupid intermingling parts. They're not needed. Now, I do fully enjoy Holly Black's writing, and I enjoy the way she puts sentences together and mixes the modern references with the Fae references. I do enjoy that. I feel like this story is just a straight up, how ridiculous can we make the fairies to the human, not a fairies are looking down on the human. It's just, hey, how many times can we bully Jude until she cries and quits and runs away? There's no real destination for the picking. It's just a, we're gonna pick on you, we're gonna pick on you, we're gonna pick on you, we're gonna pick on you. It's not going anywhere. So I've rambled and rant, and as I said, I only got 60%, and I know there's more to this story, but I can't deal with the storyline that's not going anywhere anymore. So I'm done with The Cruel Prince. I wish I wasn't, because I wanted it to be so good. I was so let down. I wanted so much out of this story, but we all have our own tastes and our own thoughts, and those unfortunately are mine. If you liked this book, please let me know down below why you liked it, because maybe what you guys tell me or give me a different way to think about it, maybe that will make me more interested and want to read it. As always though, guys, I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have started adding some gaming videos to this channel. Those will probably be around Tuesday, Thursdays. If you have suggestions for games you want me to play or games you would like to see, let me know down below. Other than that though, guys, make sure you read on, stay awesome, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!